Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
And I'm Andy Sparks.
We're sitting out here in Andy's very sunny patio drinking a very hoppy beer. This is Sierra Nevada's Southern Hemisphere Fresh Hop Ale.
Yeah, this is my first time trying it. It's pretty damn tasty.
Yeah, it's going to be skunked here soon with the sun. But let me drink. Oh, that's good.
It is good.
Reminds me of our trip last week, coincidentally. We went to the Portland area, and we did some things. We toured a couple of breweries, which you're going to be seeing before too long on this very podcast. But what we want to talk about today is a thing called Hop Madness.
Sweet.
That's right. It was started a few years ago by Dave Wills of Fresh Hops to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the founding of his business. And it was going to be just a one-time deal, getting homebrewers together at camping, brewing, touring the hop fields and such. But they liked it so much, they wanted to do it again and again and again. So they did.
Yeah, I don't blame them. It was a lot of fun.
So let's go to the footage.
It's hop madness, man. This is the extreme madness of the hops. I mean, everything happens here. You're right out of the fields, right into the brew. It doesn't get any better than that.
Hop Madness takes place at Willamette Mission State Park.
It's a beautiful place, right there on the river.
It is. And you described it as kind of an orchard look.
Yeah, actually I found it was quite interesting that there's a lot of active agriculture going on the facility right up next to it, and it appears that it's basically an old walnut orchard. It's got low trees, lots of flat ground to camp on, lots of shade. Really nice place.
Yeah, and there were at least 4 Oregon homebrew clubs there. And I want to thank all the Oregon homebrewers that we met up there for all the hospitality and all the wonderful beer. What a great group of folks. And they also got to pick hops right there on the grounds.
That's right.
Dave drove up with a truckload and a trailer load full of vines fresh from the field of Nugget and Willamette hops.
Right. It's incredible how dense the cones are on the vines. They're just saturated with cones. They had, 20 people sitting down around these things, all picking them all at once, and they're all filling up gallon bags, pots. Some were planning to save them, some were planning to brew right there at the park.
Yeah, like Sean White, who is the brewer that you're seeing right now, brewed a nice pale ale there with plenty of whole hops that he picked right there on the grounds. Just wonderful stuff. They had plenty of homebrew to drink there. They had a competition of, you got to vote for your favorite beer, and there was a competition for the hoppiest beer. And there were plenty of hoppy choices.
Of course, I loved it. I was right at home, big hophead.
But the biggest reason that we went up there, along with the fellowship with the other homebrewers, was a tour of the hop fields, and we actually got to go to a family farm nearby, which was about 600 acres, and it was late in the harvest season, but they were still harvesting Nugget hops, and those things were just incredible. Just
dripping from the vines. Apparently Nugget is one that's harvested later than others. They brought some Willamette to the park, and they were a little past due, but apparently the Nuggets that was a prime time to be harvesting them. And it was just amazing to see how tall they grow and how densely they grow.
And Dave Wills was there touring the fields with us, and he encouraged us to taste a hop right from the source.
You just kind of rub it, just rub it between your thumb and finger, and then stick that in your nose, and then stick that between your cheek and gum, and just pitch it right down in there. Add a little beer to soak it up a little bit, and chew it up with a little bit of beer, and then just leave it down there, and that lupium will start activating.
So we actually got to see the hops harvested. What they do is they take them, in this particular field, they take a machete and they cut the bottom, and then these 20 feet tall hop vines are hanging from wires at that time, and what they call a top cutter comes along and shears off the top of the hop, and it falls right into the truck.
Into a waiting bed of a truck.
That's right. And once it's full, it drives off to the hop processing facility, and we were talking to some homebrewers around there that say at that time of year you can drive down the highway and just pick up a vine here and there that
Yeah,
fall off the truck.
that's right. As a matter of fact, you'll see little chunks of vines laying on the highway. We were following the group, so we didn't stop to get them ourselves, but you could easily do that. You could get plenty of hops just by scavenging them up around there.
And then once they're at the hop facility, they're hung on hooks on these overhead conveyor belts, and the hops, the vines are taken into a machine that just beats them, essentially, and beats the cones and a lot of the leaves off, and they fall down below onto a conveyor, and they are conveyed upward so that they drop onto this series of tilted belts, and at that point the leaves stick to those belts and go up and out, and the hops fall down, separated from the leaves, and then they go into, on another conveyor belt, they go next door to the place where they are dried, and it's this massive, wonderful smelling facility where
It did smell very good.
where hops are piled like 3 feet deep onto these beds where heated air, heated to 150 degrees, comes up through there, and in 6 or 7 hours those hops are dry and they're rotated out. They're essentially on a big piece of burlap.
That's right.
And then the burlap is rolled onto this tube at the end there, and as it's rolled onto the tube, the hops fall off. They go down onto a conveyor to this giant hop mountain down below where they are set to cool for a while. And then a tractor scoops up the hops, puts them into a baling machine where these 200-pound bales of hops are compressed, and wrapped, and sewn, and ready for its distribution. But the thing that seemed to attract us most as home brewers, it was the giant mountain of hops and the fact that people wanted to become one with the hops and lie in the hops and climb on the hops. But you had a different idea, Andy. You wanted to go for it.
Well, you know, you only get to live once, right? So, yeah, I took a running dive headfirst into the hops. It was a beautiful thing.
And you actually disappeared into the hops. It was amazing. And then right after you jumped in, and I turned off the camera, Dave Wills jumped in right beside you. And so I have a nice photograph of you two where you can only see your faces in the hops. And then you got out and you were like covered with this yellow lupulin stuff. So after I saw your state of being, I decided to do more of like a nesty plunge into the hops.
Yeah.
So it was just incredible.
Well, no regrets. I certainly got a lot of sticky stuff on me, and my arms, it took about four times washing with soap and water to get it all off. My face burned a little bit, but other than that, other than the mess I left everywhere as I dropped hops off of me, the rental car had a lot of hops in it, and the hotel room that night had a bunch of hops on the floor too. But
there was a trail of hop cone leaves into the hotel room.
No regrets. I would probably do it again if I got the chance.
Well, there you go. Well, I'm glad that we got to go up there together.
Me too, James. Gosh, as always, I had a great time.
Thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for taking me.
And thanks for watching. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Come and visit us on the web. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Introduction to Extract Home Brewing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, and our latest edition, Introduction to Wine Kits. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to james@basicbrewing.com, steve@basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.
I'm one hoppy guy.